It's Wednesday, it's 7 p.m, and this is Iris Live. Croeso, welcome. It's day 2 of the 2020 Iris Prize LGBT+ Film Festival, which is completely online, and yes, it's absolutely free. On tonight's show, our special guest is Angharad Meyer, the Queen of Welsh television. The first reviews from opening night are in, and Holly will be exploring what you've been saying about Iris on social media. Plus, later in the show, Angharad will be reunited with Jolene Dover and friend, yep, singular, as they ask what's next for the theatres and concert venues which remain closed due to the COVID-19 epidemic. And we'll say goodnight, as we will every night, with the Iris blogger. But first up, she truly is the Queen of Welsh television, right here in Wales. Formerly the face of BBC Wales Today, Wedi Saith and Heno, and she's Executive Director for production company Tinopolis, long-time Iris family member to boot. It's Angharad Meyer. Angharad, welcome to Iris Live.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for that introduction too.
I couldn't fit everything in. You've done a lot of things over the years, you really have, and you have been a wonderful friend of Iris for so long. I mean, many of our friends from Iris remember you as the host of opening night over the years, and last year in particular, where you launched the very first Iris Live, and I believe you did it with Jolene Dover.
How could I forget?
How could anybody forget? And I think we do have a clip of that. Let's have a look.
Cardiff market, and Angharad, that brings back some memories for me. The things I've done on that fish counter. Nibbling down on a great big sausage. You know, you throw one egg at Ed Sheeran and then oh, and that singer, Angharad. The things I'd let him do to me. Kinky Sandra's Late Night Emporium is open till 10. See you later.
Well, that was good, wasn't it?
I love Jolene. Can't wait to be reunited with her tonight.
Are you sure about that?
I am. I am.
What was that like for you? That must have been quite an experience working with Jolene on Iris Live.
It was absolutely brilliant. I loved every second of it. She makes me laugh so much.
She is very funny, to be fair. I mean, you've been involved with Iris in so many different ways over the years. You know, what's it like to be part of the Iris family for you?
Well, it's brilliant, and you know, with Heno, we were there on the launch night before the Iris Prize Festival started, and as presenter of Heno and producer as well, and what we do is we sort of cover everything and anything in Wales, and I think that looking back over the years, one of the highlights has to be that launch evening, because the Iris Prize Festival has turned out to be something that is so phenomenal. Yeah. And at the start, I don't think anyone could have foreseen that it would have been such a success. It's been absolutely brilliant. It's put Wales on the map globally, and that's fantastic too. And we need more things actually like the Iris Prize Festival.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of the legacy of programming and entertainment in Wales, we need to mention that Heno, 30 years this year, I believe, which is an incredible achievement. Congratulations on that. Who would have thought that? I mean, what do you think the secret is to Heno's success?
Well, I think more than anything, it's because we put the audience first. The viewers are the most important thing about the show. So if they write to us, or if they tell us that they want to see anything on Heno, then we'll do that. We don't produce the programme for ourselves. We produce it for whoever's watching the show. And I think the way that I was explaining now why we did the Iris launch so many years ago, 2006, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Heno exists. It's for the things that are happening in Wales. And even now, during lockdown, it's been a little bit more difficult. Yeah. But at the same time, I think we've been there for people. We're live, like we are tonight, yeah, which means that people can actually connect with the show. And we've changed it a little bit in the last few months. If anybody's been wanting to make sure that anybody within the family or friends or something, if they've got a birthday, if they've got a celebration, anything that's happening but they can't see each other anymore, we're there, if you like, yeah, as a programme that can connect people, yeah, and that's what we do.
Great stuff. Well, obviously, Heno continues on Espadarac. You should tune in. I've got to mention quickly, because I've got someone in my ears saying we're running out of time, but I just want to mention quickly, according to your Wikipedia, 2016, you set the record for the marathon in the WSS category by completing the London Marathon in a time of 2:57.46. And now you tell me that you've beaten that record.
Well, in 2017, I ran 2:54. And when you say the category, the worst thing about it in the world is that it's over 55, which I can't believe.
Nothing wrong with
it's
that.
a bit of a bittersweet thing. It's a good time, but at the same time, the age bit is awful. So, but there we go. Yeah. And
Well,
then
well done anyway.
Thank you. And then after that, I stopped running. But one of the things about COVID is that I started going out jogging again. And it's one of my silver linings about the last few months. And I think during this time, we all have to look for those little silver lining things in our lives.
I couldn't agree more. And Harriet, you're going to stay with us throughout the show, but thank you very much for chatting with me. And you're very welcome here at Iris, as always, so thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
So, we'll have more from Harriet later in the show, and I imagine that most of us now will have seen some of the films here at Iris. The first batch of reviews are in.
Hi, my name's Kimmy Nevins, and with my son Patrick, we run Kimmy's Cafe in Pontcanna, which is very near to the family home of the Iris family. We've been close associates than my adopted family for probably the last 10 years, I reckon. My favourite film was the film at the end of Open Night, Sam, about the two Sams and their friendship really that's built on trust and the bond that they had, lots of things which they were able to support each other with without it becoming major issues. They were just, that love and trust was there. I thought that was a beautiful film. I also enjoyed Lifeline, which I thought touched on some very relevant issues that we're all feeling at the moment, of lockdown, isolation, working away from our colleagues, and all the sort of stuff that's going on in the background in our homes, you know, through suddenly you're with your family 24/7 and the pressures that builds. So that, I thought that was very good, where it touched on domestic violence and work relationships that we're able to build through technology. So there, I love that as well. Those previous years, though we can be there physically, for a lot of people it's inaccessible. So this year we can all access the film festival, enjoy the films. Hopefully you can watch it with some friends as well, within your distancing sort of regime, whatever you might be under in your part of the world. But have fun, enjoy the film, and it'd be great to hear your feedback. Thank you. Bye.
Well, a festival is nothing without an audience, and we need your views and reviews, folks. So make sure you're getting on our social media channels and joining in the conversation. And to check in every night on that conversation, I've got the lovely Holly with me to tell me all about what you've been saying. Holly, welcome to the studio. Good to see you.
Thanks, Tom. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. In the strangest of times, but we're here and we're doing it, aren't we? Which is great.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your role in Iris.
So I'm the social media coordinator for Iris this year, which means I have got the pleasure of trawling our Twitter, Instagram and Facebook to see what the audience is saying.
And what are they saying, Holly?
Well, there's been a lot of love for Iris in a Box so far, which is very exciting. It's all over the UK. It's been arriving on people's doorsteps. And as Carrie says, if you can't go to Cardiff, then bring Cardiff to you.
Absolutely.
Which is exactly what people have been doing. So here we've got Katie and Nick up in Scotland, over to Claire in Cardiff. We've got Paul coming to us from Huntingdon. Jean in Anglesey, who eagle-eyed viewers might realise is a family connection to our very own Bedouin.
Oh, really?
Yep. We've got Mark over in Port Talbot, and the lovely Patrick at Kimmy's in Pontcanna. And the award for the most creative use of an Iris tea towel has got to go to Reese.
Interesting.
Indeed. People have also been telling us what they loved about opening night.
Okay.
There's been a huge amount of love for SAM film, which I'm sure you'll agree was a real highlight last night. Mark said it was beautiful. And Josh has been inspired to draw one of the actors, Sam Retford, here on Instagram. And a lot of people shared Caitlin's sentiments about Cassie's performance, giving them all the feels.
Was amazing, to be fair.
It was incredible,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And today, the shorts programmes have gone live. So Peter here has said that Wings, which stars Miriam Margolyes and Virginia McKenna, was amazing, and he'd shed a few tears.
Oh.
And he also reminded us that you can vote for your favourite short film to win the Co-op Audience Award by rating the films on Eventive as you watch them.
Excellent. Good stuff.
That's all for tonight, and you can find us at Iris Prize on Twitter and Instagram, and make sure you're following Iris Prize on Facebook, sharing what you think, and it might get read out later in the week on Iris Live.
Good stuff. Holly,
Thanks.
I'll see you tomorrow night, hopefully.
Absolutely, see you there.
Good stuff, thank you very much. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be a break or a bake. We'll be right back with plenty more from Iris Live, so don't go anywhere. See you in a minute.
We can't go back.
The doorway between worlds has been opened.
I've traveled so far. I found myself here.
You have come here for a purpose.
I don't know who to trust anymore.
You can trust me.
Finally, someone else to talk to.
The fate of many worlds may rest on you.
Welcome back to Iris Live with the announcement that Cineworld are closing all of their US and UK-based cinemas for the time being, at least. Last night's performance by Cassie during our opening night was a timely reminder that 7 months on, our theatres and concert venues remain closed. Tonight, in the first of our nightly sessions, Jolene and friends will be asking what next for the entertainment sector. But first, here's a reminder of last night's performance by Cassie.
Is freedom, so you can find a pathway back home. 'Cause I know from the time I was broken that a love so strong is better left alone. Still you were the gentlest that I've ever seen. Held me in your arms, I could finally breathe.
People of the internet, I have arrived and I've had the wardrobe malfunction to end all wardrobe. Don't laugh. I'm calling this my 2020 dress because it is hanging on by a thread, people. But I've arrived, I'm here, and I've got my very own section on Iris Live, which I'm calling Jolene and Friends, everybody.
Matthew and Friends.
No, it's Jolene and Friends. Welcome.
Jolene, no, we talked about this earlier. It's Matthew and Friends.
So welcome to Jolene and Friends, guys. We're here
Joe,
live every...
It's Matthew and Friends. Look, guys, can we just start again? Because this is just ridiculous.
We are live, Matthew. Thank you. As I was saying, welcome to Jolene and Friends. We're here every night discussing some very important topics. We're sort of like the loose women, but with less Botox.
Yeah, definitely.
And my friend tonight is the wonderful Matthew David Hill, everybody.
And welcome, Angharad Meyer. Thanks for being on the show, my show.
It's brilliant to be here.
Well, I think I'm going to take a leaf out of your book next year and wear a pantsuit, Anne Howard. This is ridiculous. But we're going to get on with it. What are we talking about today, Matthew?
Well, in the light that Cineworld's closed recently and obviously theatres can't open, let's start it off by telling us what was your last live performance that you saw.
I went to see the play Tylwyth by Dav James.
Okay.
Great, Dav James.
Amazing. It's one of the best plays I've ever seen, and I'm not just saying that because I'm here tonight. In
And
fact,
where was that too?
The Sherman Theatre,
Okay,
and I
fab.
wrote about it in Golwg twice, actually.
Amazing.
It was so brilliant. And I think it's the only play I've been to where, you know, sometimes with the standing ovation, people are sort of like, am I going to get up? Is somebody else getting up? Nobody wants to get up first. Well, in this performance, before the play had quite come to an end, everybody was on their feet. It was absolutely amazing. And they only played in the Sherman in Cardiff just before lockdown. And then it was going on tour throughout Wales. So they are going to do that next year when the theatres open again. So good luck to Dav James and the
If
team
they
of
open
Tullow.
again, this is the
And you
thing.
should go and see it because there were subtitles as well.
Oh,
English
okay.
subtitles.
She knows I can't
Yeah.
speak Welsh. She knows
So
I can't speak Welsh, this
it
woman.
doesn't matter that it was in Welsh. You could read it all in English at the same time, just like telly.
Love it, love it. So you say when it comes back, if it comes back, what happens if the theatres don't come back? I mean, this is the problem we're facing, isn't it?
Well, this is kind of the situation with the government well, today, isn't it? And the last few days is they're saying we've all got to go and retrain, which sounds
Terrible.
fabulous. What are we all retraining
That's
as,
a
Angharad?
terrible
I'm
thing
going
to
to retrain
say.
as a costume designer because this is ridiculous. I think from my point of view as a performer, I'm a bit annoyed with not just the government, but also Mark Drakeford, because he just hasn't done anything to support performers. We can't perform live in Wales. You can do it in England. Everything's COVID safe. You can do it there. But in Wales, I feel like we're being left behind. And I was really championing him at the beginning of lockdown, you know?
What I can't understand is why you're allowed to go to a pub, but you're not allowed to go and see a live performance somewhere. Because I'm sure that in theatres, you know, we've got some big theatres in Wales. Why can't they open, even if you can't fill the theatre, but they can work out that so many people can sit there, and why not? Because it would be terrible to see some really talented people having to give up because
And
maybe
look
this time
what-
is just too tough.
Exactly. And look what Wales has produced. Shirley Bassey, Tom Jones,
Jolene
myself.
Dover.
Hello.
Yeah, Jolene Dover.
You know, we're going to lose all of these amazing performers.
So do you perform at all now?
Well, it's a bit of a touchy subject now, Harry, because no, I don't at the minute. No, I can't do it anyway, you know? This is my only gig right now.
I think
Thanks
people,
for having me, guys.
are adapting, which is quite interesting to see. Because in the theatre world, a lot of directors and companies that I'm working with or friends are working with, they're trying to make use of the spaces that they've got, being outdoors or via Zoom. But I don't know about you, but I'm sick of a Zoom meeting. I'm sick of the screen, the communication, the interaction. It's really difficult. I suppose if you're performing, you feed off that energy. I don't know if you've ever been to a karaoke night with Jolene and Harrod. Otherwise, I'll take you when things go because it's
How will you?
Yeah,
I look forward to that. I'll hold you to that.
What's your karaoke song?
Oh, well, I'm tone deaf.
That's even
She can speak Welsh, but she's tone deaf.
And
This
the
is
only
perfect.
karaoke I've ever done, we sang, two of us together sang Red, Red Wine.
Ah,
beautiful.
do you know
Which
what? I
isn't
would
a good
never have put that
song.
song to you.
No, and it's not a good
Brilliant.
song if you can't sing.
No, I think it's perfect. I can't wait to see that. That's if they all open again, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what the future brings?
I think people, like I said, people are adapting, so let's keep our fingers crossed. I'm gutted because we've had so many amazing nights at Cineworld, like we were there last year, like that's closing. Because for me, I used to live our Irish discount because I used to pay like £3.50 for a film, and that is like insanely cheap. Have you been to the cinema while they reopened? Did you manage to get into Cineworld before it closed?
Do you know what? I didn't, and maybe, you know, sitting here now thinking about it, maybe I should have. Maybe we should have made more of an effort.
Maybe.
But of course,
Yeah.
that's the thing. People are scared of going out as well. But I'm sure there are ways of doing it. But that line yesterday about creative people retraining, I just could not believe it at all. That would be...
I say we all protest, guys. That's what I think. We all get on the streets, we riot, we take our instruments, our voices, our karaoke jukebox, and we riot because it just feels like they're not listening to us. They're just not listening.
They're not. And there was this talk, and I don't know how you would feel, Angharad, about having a blackout for a day in terms of like all the big networks, all the TV, all our creative industry just going blackout to show that because the government don't think that we're doing enough, but actually what are people doing at home? They're listening to amazing things on the radio, the TV, Netflix, all of these different things. Like look at the Iris Festival this week. Like we're going to see amazing performances.
One thing I'm hoping that when all of this is over, maybe the more people will maybe go to the theatre,
That would be
cinemas
good.
even.
That would be a good outcome, I think.
Well,
I love your optimism,
well,
Anne Harrod.
support.
She's so I'm like, it's never going to happen, and she's like,
we should, I
Yes.
think. It should be a lesson
Yeah,
to all of us that
definitely.
we can't live without the creative industries
No.
and creative people. So when it's all over, we should all go out and make sure that
I'll
we
be
support.
taking you, and straight after we're
I
going to
can't wait
drink
for
wine
that.
and
So we're going to do the
that.
theatre, karaoke, and then what? The night is young. The night is young.
I've got to wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Anne
no.
Harrod. And thank you for joining us for Matthew and
Thank you.
Friends.
No, thank
We're
you
going to
for
be back
Joan and
tomorrow
Friends,
for
everyone.
Matthew
We'll be
and
back the
Friends.
same
Thank
time.
you, guys.
Joan and Friends,
Matthew
7
and
p.m. I'll
Matthew
get
and
a dress that
Matthew-
fits. Sorry.
2 meters,
Oh, yes,
2
2
meters.
meters.
Matthew-
Sorry.
So make sure you check out the podcast. You can download the podcast for free from your favourite podcast store, or you can watch them on YouTube. Tonight, we'll be closing with the Iris blogger, writer, film lover, and a friend of Iris, David Llewellyn, will read to us from his daily Iris blog. David.
Thanks, Tom. Well, this is weird. 2020 marks my 14th Iris Prize Festival. I was there on day one, so I've seen firsthand how she's grown and evolved over the years. Back in 2007, we managed to get all of the guests and jury members and the entire festival team from place to place in 2 minibuses. The festival lasted just 3 days, and I attended every party and saw every last short film and feature. But even though each year the festival seems a little bigger than before, it's always Iris. And though saying it's come to feel like a family may be a cliche, it also happens to be true. Through Iris, I've made lasting friendships with some of the loveliest and funniest and most talented people I've ever met. No other film festival is quite like it. It's the excitement of the first few days I'm missing most of all. Those getting to know you moments as names and faces grow familiar. The anticipation before the first programme of shorts. Everyone gathered in the top floor bar at Cineworld with their lanyards and coffees, a little bleary-eyed after the opening night festivities. But here we are in this strangest of years. Iris 2020, an Iris like no other, an Iris that may only a few months ago have seemed impossible. Yet in all the ways that matter, it's exactly the same. Because it's the stories that bring us here, whether we're crammed into screen 15 or sitting on the sofa. We may be watching these films in separate rooms, but we're still watching them together. And besides, who needs lanyards?
And that was Iris Live from Cardiff. Head to irisprize.org to enjoy the films for free and don't party too hard. Yeah, right. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. We'll be joined by Kimberly Warner of Film Hub Wales. Until then, from Iris Live, bye-bye.